Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. Now, our guest today is one of my favorite people. You are going to have so much fun in this program. We are listening today to Ruti Block. Ruti Block is the creator of the Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program. And you can find out more about Ruti Block and her amazing work at her website, ruti.com. And that's RU-TEE.com. Welcome, Ruti Block.
Oh, Catherine, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today. And I have to start off by saying that you are absolutely incredible. You have been running this show and doing this for the good of other people for what, 10 years?
So 7 years, but this is my second radio show. So 10 years running radio. Now let's go right into helping everybody because what we're going to be talking about today is how to lose weight after menopause. And I want to start by Ruti, if you don't mind. I'm 66 years old and I wear a bikini when I go to the beach. Ruti, how old are you?
So I just turned 59 like last Friday. And so I'm about to join. Next year will be the 60s club.
Yeah. So, there's so many people who talk about weight loss and they talk about, achieving your ideal size, and it's not real. And yet my hair is real, my body's real, my face is real. I am wearing makeup and you as well, right? So what we're going to be talking about today is the real deal.
Yes.
Yes. No chemical injections that cost you $1,000 a month. No starving. Okay. No insanity.
No weighing yourself on the scale and starving yourself. No counting micronutrients and just feeling really grumpy because you're like, you know what I mean? Like none of that. No starvation. Like we need to eat,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We
No
need to eat.
anorexia. Yeah. No anorexia. Okay. I had chocolate earlier, right before this. Okay. So, Ruti Block, you are the creator of the Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program. And I know it works because one of our mutual clients did your program, and I think she lost 2 dress sizes in 8 weeks, which is like crazy and incredible. So, Roti Block, why did you create the Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program?
Okay, well, I'm going to be completely honest because I'm all about transparency here, right? So it got created in two halves. So just over 10 years ago, under 10 years ago, I was running the program, and at that time um, it was called the Body Confidence Program. And the reason I started to run it was because I actually got into burnout like twice. And that's not fun for you ladies out there who've experienced burnout, who've experienced adrenal fatigue. It is rough when you're in that place. And so I ended up, yeah, I just ended up in burnout. So I basically put the program on hold. And then I started entering into the menopause. And I'm not going to lie, so what I found with the menopause is people either have an easy ride through the menopause or they don't, right? There seems to be like two types of person. And the people that don't have a difficult ride, it's very difficult to understand going through something unless you've actually experienced it. So I reached 50 and it was literally like overnight the manual for me running my brain, running my body, running my everything, running my libido, running all the things, right, that I'd spent all these years, because, I've been in the health and fitness industry since I was 20. I had it down, I had it sussed. It's like overnight I woke up and suddenly those things didn't work anymore. right? They just didn't work. And my anxiety levels got so bad, and everything that I kind of had a bit of a handle on basically came up. And I ended up, a very long story short, I ended up with agoraphobia, not being able to leave the house because I had such severe panic attacks. And also, I had such bad inflammation in my bone marrow that the surgeon said to me, "You need to go on crutches because you're at risk of fracturing your hip."
Ooh.
And they'd never seen that. Now, remembering that, at this time, I was personal training, I was rehabilitating people, I was doing kinesiology, I was doing all the things, right? But literally, and it was literally like overnight. And so we then fast forward. So that was called, I stopped doing everything because I realized that, this was that time in my life when I needed to make some really significant changes because I needed to do things differently. So we then fast forward to me now being in Costa Rica. There's a lot in between, but I don't want to get caught up in my story too much, right? And I navigated my way through menopause, right? I didn't sleep for like 2 years, right? The mood swings were so bad. The brain fog was terrible. I went on HRT and went up 3 dress sizes in 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't remember anything. It was so bad that I basically took a break, followed my dream, came to Costa Rica, and then I was working with a client about 6 months ago, and she suddenly, and I was training her, I was doing personal training with her. She suddenly said, "I'm getting married." And at that point, I knew that I needed to resurrect the body confidence program and basically add in all the things that I had learned, the nervous system regulation, the hormonal balancing stuff, the anti-inflammatory stuff, and basically take my program, put it on like natural steroids, not really natural steroids, because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through. And I was in the fitness industry and no one talked about it. There was so much shame around menopause. There's so much shame around these things that happen. And nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows where to go. And it's very, very hush hush. And people suffer in silence. And I renamed this program Feel Fabulous with Ruti program because I want to basically help women who are going through menopause, every hot flash at a time, and just know that there are things out there that you can do that are going to help you feel fabulous. So that's why I create the program.
Yes. And Ruti and I, if you went to the beach with us, she's 59, I'm 66. And if you went to, imagine that we all go to Ruti in Costa Rica, we would both be wearing bikinis. And again, we're doing this naturally,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, 100%. And I really appreciate Ruti Block you sharing the story about what you went through because when I talk to clients who are going through that transition, I tell them I got lost 5 minutes from my house. I
Yes.
was like, seriously? And I remember, I mean, I'm not very big and I don't talk about how much I weigh or what size I am. I went up one jean size. And I was like, what? I mean, not eating anything different, but then I just kept with my healthy stuff. And then everything, now I'm back to my regular size and all of that good stuff. All right. So,
Looking fabulous, by the way.
well, love you too. Now, let's talk about people who are listening because, you know, there's so, as you know, because we listen, you and I listen to people, and everybody's like, okay, do I take GLP? Do I stop eating carbs? Do I stop eating, period?
Yeah.
Do I join the boot camp? Why is it so hard for women to lose weight after menopause?
So So this is just from my experience, right? Because you could have like 8 people lined up and they're going to say a completely different thing. So what happens is as you start to go through menopause, your hormones, which are basically like the conductors in your body, right? They're like the information things. They tell everything what they're supposed to be doing. Literally go out on an all-night rave and don't come back. That's what kind of happens, right? But they don't tell you. They don't tell you this is going to happen. And so we have certain hormones in our body, and our hormones are really important because we're designed to function around a 24-hour circadian rhythm, right? We're designed to, get up at dusk, get up at dawn, go to bed at dusk. Our hormones are designed to basically regulate all our body systems, right? And that includes regulating your blood sugar levels, that includes regulating your moods, that includes regulating your sex drive, that includes regulating how your body stores fat, that includes regulating how your body burns fat. And what happens is literally you start going through menopause, perimenopause, or whatever you'd like to call it, and these hormones completely, as I say, they go on an all-night rave and they don't come back. And you then wake up in this body where you had all these hormone friends and basically they're not there anymore, or some of them are there. Some of them pop in occasionally, some of them just don't, some of them just and so we have this situation where we then don't know our bodies anymore. And it becomes really scary because all of a sudden, from one day to the next, you feel like you're going mad. And so, for example, if we take estrogen, so estrogen is responsible for regulating how your body stores fat. It also balances out your appetite. And so when you start to go through menopause, your estrogen levels drop. So bingo, there's one thing there that happens, right? So you start storing body fat, you start gaining weight, your mood starts changing, and then you have a load of other different hormones. You've got cortisol, you get melatonin, you've got progesterone, and all of these hormones together all are meant to work as a team, and they balance how you break down food. They balance how you store fat. They break down your signals for telling you when you're hungry and when you're not hungry. And they break down your ability to burn fat. They basically affect how your body can build muscle. They also affect how your moods are, right? What your energy levels are like. And it's like overnight, those hormones become depleted. And not only that, but it's not like they all like reduce all at the same time, right? So that you're like, oh, I have less of all of them. They don't. Some do more than others. Like progesterone can like reduce super quickly, much quicker than the others, So we become this like system where we have got no idea what's happening. And then at the same time, we are living in this body, but this body isn't the body that we've done everything through our life to do. So what worked before, which was maybe starving yourself, right? Which was maybe like going to the gym and training really, really hard. That further depletes your cortisol levels, which you need because when your cortisol levels are affected, your body becomes more responsive to stress, which means that you then store, if you get stressed out, which your body is because of your hormones, you start then storing excess fat around your middle. So you then raise your cortisol levels by overtraining, by under eating, and you don't reduce body fat, you actually store more body fat. And
Yes.
you store this belly fat. So these are some of the reasons why it becomes challenging to basically lose weight when you're going through menopause.
Great explanation. And Ruti Block, there's been so many women who've come to me and they're just desperate. And you and I can really, from a real heart place, we can relate because we've been there, right? And it's like, well, I'm just going to stop eating carbs, or I'm just going to stop eating, or I'm going to join a boot camp. And I've had clients, I'm like, okay, if you join a boot camp, you're just going to get injured and gain weight. And they don't believe me. And then they go do it and they get injured and they gain weight.
Yeah.
Now, Ruti Block, why is it that traditional diets fail before, during, and after menopause? Like, why does that just not work anymore?
Well, in my opinion, and I say this in my opinion because right now in our days now, there's so many different studies that show so many different things that actually, when you're going through menopause, this is a time when you know best, right? This is a time that you are in your queenage. This is a time when you are basically in your, you know, amazing years, when you know yourself better. I'm trying to think of the word, but it's when it's Crohn's time. It's when you are in your most developed time of your life, right? So you know better. And this is a time when it's really important for us to tune in to us, because we spent probably our whole life being people pleasers and tuning into everybody else and not tuning into ourselves. And the reason why a lot of like traditional diets don't work, I mean, period, but traditional diets don't work when you're going through menopause, is because by the time a lot of us reach menopause, our metabolisms are so damaged that it's too stressful for our bodies to basically lose weight, because we're now in a period where we're like, oh my God, what is happening to me? This raises the stress levels. Our body doesn't know the difference between financial stress, energetic stress, living in a place where you don't want to live, like not being able to get any bikini, right? It doesn't know the difference. It still treats it the same. So if we are in a state of where our bodies have reached a stage where we have got a damaged metabolism because we have starved ourselves, we have overtrained, we don't go to sleep properly, we're not having the right fuel, it's too stressful. The body's already in fight or flight, and it's too stressful for the body to basically lose weight. It just doesn't happen.
Right. Absolutely. And again, I want everybody to hang in there because Ruti knows how to do this. Okay. No GLP injections, no $1,000 a month drugs. And with that, let's take a break and listen to a message from one of our commercial sponsors here at UK Health Radio. My name is Catherine Carrigan. We're listening to Ruti Block, the energetic, beautiful creator of the Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program. We'll be right back. So, Ruti Block, here at the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio, I love talking to people who've lived through things and they know what works. Will you share with us about your Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program? Who is it designed for and how is it structured?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's designed for women navigating menopause. So that can be pre-menopause, that can be menopause, that can be post-menopause. And these days, that age group ranges from 35 up to 70 or beyond, So the age group is very varied. Now, the program is designed in a particular way. So we have a weekly check-in. This is one of the things that really makes the program effective because, we're kind of like out there on our own with a lot of programs. So once a week, every week on a Monday at 12 noon Costa Rica time, I do like a check-in. Everybody comes on the call and they bring any questions. We celebrate everybody. We're on Zoom. We're like jumping up and down. And then the program is designed on a high NEAT protein program. So it's paleo. So there's no gluten, there's no dairy, there's no sugar, there's no alcohol, there's no grains. Because from what I went through, inflammation is a big deal for women who are going through menopause, right? So if we're reducing things that are going to cause inflammation in the body, sugar causes mood swings. It causes the body to store body fat. So that's why it's not on there. High protein, a lot of people, it's very difficult to get the whole 28 amino acids, which the body requires to be able to repair the adrenal glands, to be able to repair the cells, to be able to repair the damaged metabolism. So this is why I'm an advocate of like high protein. So it's a high protein diet. You get all your recipes, you get your menus. If you don't like following recipes and menus, you then get a food list that you follow. So you can make your own recipes. But one of the most important things about this program is that, I feel that the fuel that we put in is super important. So 80% is diet, 20% is movement. And so it's all done within an app. There's a daily chat. Like I'm in there all the time, like cheering you on. Different people are in different time zones. So, the English people are in there first in the morning. They generally get in there before me. And it's all designed around not weighing yourself. So on a Friday, everybody measures themselves, right? Because measurements don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
They don't lie. There's also, rules, and those rules are all based around repairing your adrenals, getting you out of burnout, balancing your hormones, and basically nervous system regulation. So, things about sleep. There's also articles so that every week you're reading and you are basically empowering yourself about what is important and why you're doing what you're doing. There's mind exercise, there's mindset, there's stuff around self-worth, there's sound healing. There's all of this stuff to basically work your mind, body, and soul. Because you can't exercise yourself out of a bad diet, right? We need fat. We need protein. We need carbs, but we don't need grains. We don't need gluten or dairy. We've only been farming it for like 50 years, and most of us can't break it down properly. It causes inflammation for so many people. So it's not in the program. And one day a week, you get a cheat day. So on that cheat day, you can have whatever you like. So if you are craving, if you're like, Ruti, you know what? I need to eat this, I need to eat that. Go for it. Go for it. So, so that is how it's kind of structured. So it's structured where people are following a plan. There's support, there's a weekly check-in. And I like to kind of tune into people on that check-in and just help them more with stuff that might be going on emotionally, because it's a journey. It's a journey and it builds up over the 8 weeks. So, and some people are kicking and screaming, they really are. They're like, oh my God. But when they get the results, right? Because if everybody follows everything, they can reduce by 16 inches in 8 weeks from, all the different body parts. When they start reducing and they're not restricted in how much they eat, people are like, what? Like, what? And the brain fog reduces and they're sleeping and they're not a grumpy cow, and they're not hangry all the time, right? And they can start to see that maybe they might be able to wear that bikini. Then that empowers you to make changes, because if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got,
That's right. Now, Ruti Block, in the past 2 weeks, I guess, I spoke with a client and she had been a vegan for about 20 years. And she became a vegan because she wanted to be healthy. And she worked really hard she thought, okay, I'm being so healthy, I'm not eating any meat. And then what happened to her, she developed severe osteoporosis, which is very painful. And when they tested her, she said, I had almost no calcium in my body. So, can you explain for our audience, why do vegan diets not work to lose weight when we're in menopause?
So, Al, I'm going to answer that question slightly differently, if that's okay. And if I don't answer it, then you can ask me again. So, the way that I love people to look at themselves, right, is what you're doing working for you, or is it not? Right? Because there are some people who are vegans and they are, they're doing great. They've got good energy, they are, they've got the body fat levels they like, they're confident in their body, they're feeling really great. So what I want to talk about is I want to talk about, any form of eating regime that people are doing, whether it's vegan or whether it's vegetarian, and it's not working for somebody, right? Because if you are vegan or you're vegetarian and you are not feeling good about yourself and you are carrying like weight around your middle, right? Or you're bloated or you've got joint pain or you've got something that's going on in your body that's really, really affecting your life, right? And this is, this is a little controversial, so, forgive me. But what I would look at is I would look at the values around why you're doing what you're doing, because quite often, we have certain values that we've had for years and years, and we never change them. And the way that it's funny because I kind of had a dream the other day and I looked at being vegan in a completely different way, because one of the things that happens when we go through menopause is we become very aware of our lack of self-love or our lack of self-worth, right? We're putting everyone else first and we're like, we can't do this, we can't do that. And this is your years when, you can. If you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? And what I saw the correlation between being vegan and putting animals before yourself,
Mm.
right? Because it's like, and this is just a way I was looking at it. So if 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 you have a thought process that you're being mean to animals by eating the animals, one, there's ways of, eating and honoring animals in a way that isn't being mean to them. And actually, plants have feelings too. So that's a whole another discussion for another day. But if you're feeling really, really miserable in yourself, right, and you're really, really unhappy with the way that you look and the way that you feel, that is going to basically be affecting your cortisol levels every single hour of every single day and is going to be exacerbating your symptoms. And so you might want to look at, it's not the only thing you might want to look at, but you might want to look at who is more important. Is it the animal or is it you? Because if you work on yourself and change your fuel that's going to honor you, that's going to help you to feel better, you are then able to go out into the world and help many, many more people, right? Or do you honor the animal? And it was a very different way of this is Bam Bam.
So cute. So Ruti Block is showing us her very cute puppy named Bam Bam. My puppy's in the other room. So
And I'm not going to be eating her. So
yeah.
just, but it was, it was an interesting insight that I kind of was like, interesting. You know what I mean?
So basically, in your Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program, what I'm hearing that you do is you help us deprogram our thoughts and belief about what we need to eat, how we need to move, and how we need to manage our whole body.
Yeah, because, it is like a reset. When you get into your 50s, right? What worked for you, how you were, everything for some women, because, inside everything's changing, the energy's changing inside. Everything, you're coming into your wisdom. That was the word I was looking for earlier, your wisdom, right? Everything's different. So you can't do what you did before. And so what we need to look at, we need to go back to the foundation principles, right, of life that we've moved so far away from. We have like lights on at night that raise our cortisol levels. We go to bed super, super late. We have sugar, we drink alcohol, we say mean and horrible things to ourselves. We put ourselves in situations that bring us no joy. We feel pressure, we beat ourselves up about all of these things. And we really need to look at reprogramming all the things that got us up to where we are not feeling great about ourselves. And one by one, basically, one hot flush at a time, start to, change the programming on those aspects of what we think, our thoughts, what we feel, how we feel, and what we do. So, yes.
Now, Ruti Block, in your professional opinion, why does cutting not work in menopause?
So in menopause, when you calorie cut, well, what people are taking into consideration with calorie cutting or calorie controlled diets is the starting point where someone is, right? So someone's adrenals are fine and, and they're living the perfect life and they've got no stress and whatever, maybe their body can handle it. But when women are going through menopause, quite a few of them are in fight or flight, right? They are in what we call a higher state of anxiety. And so by cutting calories, which is by like putting somebody on a starvation program, on a starvation plan, it pushes the body into fight or flight even more and causes the body to actually hold on to more fat, cause more bloating, we get more fluid retention. It works in the opposite way. And then they go to exercise on top of that. They do the wrong type of exercise. They do like the fat burning that just drains the body of like any life force that's going on. And they're not lifting weights, they're not doing resistance exercises to build up, the body. It's a slippery slope because the more that they diet, the fatter they actually get, the body fat they get. So I'm all about reducing body fat. And you can't reduce body fat by restricting your calories. You can only reduce body fat by having the right balance of proteins and carbohydrates and reducing sugar because it's sugar that makes you fat. Do you know what I mean? It's not fat that makes you fat. So it's getting the balance of all of those things.
Great information. And with that, let's take a break and listen to a message from one of our commercial sponsors. My name is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. Age 66, when I go to the beach, I wear a bikini. Ruti Block, age 59, wears a bikini. And we don't starve. So you want to listen to real people who are doing this naturally. It's actually so much easier, and we'll be right back. So Ruti Block, in your fabulous program where women lead, can, and I know because one of our mutual clients lost 2 dress sizes in 8 weeks, which is incredible. Why are you not a fan of weighing yourself?
Oh, I love this question.
I don't weigh myself. Only time is when I go to the doctor and they, once a year and then they tell you, okay, yeah.
So, first of all, weighing yourself isn't a true indication of your size, right? So, when we say we want to lose weight, what we're really saying is we want to reduce inches. We want to reduce our size.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way that we know that we've reduced our size is by measuring ourselves, right? Because the tape measure doesn't lie. But you can't say there's no universal number that says, well, if you are 9 stone, then you are gonna be this size. There is none of that because we've all got boobs and bottoms and all sorts of different organs that weigh different things, right? So, and psychologically, if you start exercising, let's say you've not done any exercising, you start my program, you start doing some exercise, muscle mass weighs. And so your weight on the scale will go up, right? Could go up by 6 pounds. If you haven't done a number two, right, and you weigh yourself first thing in the morning, you will be lighter after you've done a number two because you're letting go of stuff that's in your body. And so, and when you eat food, food will be in your body and because it's going through a process or drinking water, these things will affect your actual weight. But when you measure yourself with a tape measure, it doesn't lie. So for my women who have, body dysmorphia problems, which I think is like 95% of women,
100%, right?
right?
Yeah.
When you say to them, okay, your waist measured 33 inches and now it measures 31, they can actually believe you, right? But you can't say to somebody, you are 4 pounds lighter, which means that your waist is going to be this or your waist is going to be that. Plus, different bodies store body fat and fluid in different areas depending on what is happening hormonally in their body. So when you go on a scale, that doesn't help you figure out what's going on, what you can do more of, or a way of motivating you. It just doesn't. So, you know, quite a few of my ladies, when I tell them, please don't weigh yourself, they can't help themselves, right? And we spend maybe the first 3 weeks and they're like, I've lost 5 pounds, I'm super happy. But, by the end of the program, because it's a thing that we're programmed to do. Like we've been programmed for years and years and years that you weigh yourself. So it's really hard, changing that thought process. So, some of these things don't happen overnight. We have to like have a reason to know about something different and then understand how that different version is much more empowering and how that version makes sense. Because if something doesn't make sense, why are we going to do it?
Yes. Now, routine block, I know for myself, when I listen to my clients, I can tell who's going to succeed and who won't. What are the key factors that really make a difference for menopausal women to change their bodies? Like what really moves the needle?
Ooh, that's a really great question. So the first one is not living in the past,
Mm.
right? So Catherine's just asked me this question, and so I haven't prepared for this, so I'm actually literally just really thinking about this, right? Because our past, basically, when we think about our past, we then move our past into our future. So
Mm.
if we're like, well, this is what's worked for me before, and it didn't work for me, and we've got this whole programming around, that's not going to work for me, that's not going to work for me, it's not going to work for you. So the thing that makes a huge difference is your mindset, right? Is you continuously living into your future,
Mm.
continuously being grateful, writing gratitude around how you're feeling, how you're looking, right? The second thing is not being a victim,
Mm.
right? I know it's harsh. I know it's harsh. And I'm sorry for the harshness. But when we blame outside circumstances and we don't take responsibility for things, right? And it's over there and it's that problem, or because of my family, or because of this, or because of that, and we don't take ownership, we can't change because we don't want to take action because we're not basically owning what it is we want to achieve. Without a goal, right? Without a goal, it's never going to happen, right? We can set wishy-washy manifestations, but without a goal and taking action, right, it's not going to happen. And also understanding that this is a journey and you've got to undo probably everything that you learned before in your life. And
Mm.
you've got to show up, right? It's going to be ugly. You're going to cry. You're going to be angry. You're going to hate me. You're going to do all of these things at certain times in certain phases. But I learned this phrase from you, Catherine. This is a phrase that I use all the time, right? In order to reorganize at a higher level, you have to go into chaos. So if you've done what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. So it's not possible to go from doing what you've done into this period, into this zone where everything's super easy and you're like managing it all, and it's not chaos. Part of growing, part of evolving as a human being, part of moving through your menopause with grace and flow and owning it is going into the good, the bad, and the ugly, embracing it all, accepting, and basically saying to yourself, this is the most amazing time of my life. I can change. I can be, I can see, I can do things differently. It's possible. It's possible. And just always having that attitude, right? Because if you're continuously saying to yourself, this isn't going to happen, right? Your energy goes where your mind flows. So if you're saying to yourself, I can't do this, I can't do that, guess what? You can't do it. And don't get me wrong, right? I don't want anyone to think that I have it sussed all the time, that Ruti's perfect, she's this like goddess in Costa Rica, who's just like, absolutely not. I have moments. I have moments myself, right? I have moments, and I have to do this work on a daily basis. And, the highest, so self love, right? The highest form of self love is self discipline. So
Mm.
if we are looking for the number one thing, right, to answer your question, now I've gone around the houses and answered it in a few other ways, right? Self discipline is the highest form of self love. And when you love yourself and when you learn to love yourself more, you can start to tune into your body. When you give your body the energy that makes it feel good, stops you from getting inflamed, stops the mood swings, stops the cravings, you can then become more intuitive. You can then feel what feels good. You can then have access to your soul. You have access to bringing more joy in your life because your fuel is everything. And your self-worth and your self-love. I know, everyone goes, oh, self-love. But, if you don't love yourself, you're not going to make the best choices, right? And if you're in shame all the time, which we know from, the scale of consciousness level, shame resonates at the lowest frequency. So if we're walking around in our bodies feeling shameful, feeling like, I feel like this, I look like that, right? And we're saying that to ourselves all the time rather than saying, I'm amazing, I look fabulous, whatever size you are, right? Whatever size you are, loving the body that you're in, right? Accepting where you're at, loving where you're at, and then taking the steps, doing the things differently, getting the support, being honest, sharing with everyone what's going on and where you are, right? Those things are all going to help you to propel and to move forwards.
So I hope our audience now understands like why I'm such a fan of Ruti Block. You're so inspiring, and you are such high energy person. And again, you walk your talk. So Ruti Block, you and I both know people, they try everything that doesn't work and then they get really desperate and they do something very damaging. Why do you think people should not take the semaglutide drug? So so many people get desperate and they just go, okay, I'm going to take these drugs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question and it's really trending right now, And the thing is, I mean, the first thing is that we don't know the long-term effects of those drugs, right? Well, we kind of do.
One thing, they paralyze your stomach, right?
Yes.
They paralyze your stomach, right?
This isn't a quick fix, right? And when you just take a magic pill, you don't go through the evolution that you need to go through to be able to accept yourself, love yourself, work on all the lifestyle things that's basically going to enhance your life. It's like it's like having liposuction. When women have liposuction, most of them don't feel better about themselves, right? So then they have another surgery because what they're not doing is they're not doing the whole umbrella that makes up a soul, that makes up a human being. They're just taking one element of it, one aspect of it, and working on that bit. But that's not accepting yourself. That's basically self-harming yourself, right? That's basically, cutting yourself up to get a result. And so that doesn't, it doesn't really enhance your life. It doesn't enhance you. It doesn't in the long term help you to feel better about yourself, in
Right.
my opinion.
Yes. And one thing that I'll say, because I've spent time and I know Ruti, and Ruti and I are 100% real. The wrinkles, I got my gray hair, but our bodies are real. And one word that I like to use is sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So you come up with a lifestyle that you can continue to do that doesn't drain your energy, that doesn't make you completely miserable. So Ruti Block, where can people find out more to sign up for your Feel Fabulous 8-week body transformation program?
So you can basically go to my website, which will be in the information, but it's www.rute.com. And then you will see there's a section which has got fitness and nutrition, and you can just click on there and you can find out more information, because you might just want to find out more information. And then it will take you into a little brochure that you can download, that you can just kind of like read through at your leisure and just have a little look at it. And then if you're ready to sign up, you can click the button, which is sign up here. Because the next program, I run these programs now. I'll be running them like 4 times a year. So it will always tell you when the next intake is, so that you can basically, sign up or join the wait list if the registration isn't open. And if you've got any questions, you can basically message me and ask me any questions.
You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. My name is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 best-selling author, age 66, wears a bikini when I go to the beach. Ruti Block, age 59, wears a bikini. Ruti.com is where you can find out more. And remember, it is possible to achieve your ideal size naturally without starving, without over exercising, even in menopause. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.